Welcome to Akhand Vidyashram, the first institute of impeccable wisdom. I am starting with something which is very, very dear to me and in India by and large. It is Savitri, the goddess Savitri, Sati Savitri, and in many ways I consider her to be an ideal example of a woman who can be in tune with universal consciousness. Many of the people do not believe that scientific spiritual descriptions given in the world are by men alone, but I do believe Savitri is an example of a dialogue between her and Dharmaraj Yama to save the soul of her own husband Satyavan. The way she had dialogue with Dharmaraj Yama, I am not going to go into detail because the information given for the first time is in Mahabharata, forest thing in Sanskrit by Rishi Vedvyas, and he has his own Sanskritized version. And also there have been so many movies made on it by different people. As a matter of fact, Dadasaheb Phalke, the father of Indian movies, his first movie was also Savitri. Incidentally, third movie of the Indian thing way back in 1914 was Savitri alone. And same, another book, another poetry, the longest English poetry ever done by Sri Aurobindo is also called Savitri. He has converted the same story of Satyavan Savitri of Mahabharata into a description in an English poetry form. Brilliant work. So all the movies done by different people, including dramas, dances, and other concepts, have their own unique way of representing the truths in their own way, what they think of Savitri as a sati, an ideal person, and different people have different. But as a spiritual scientist, I have my own views on spirit and science. And spirituality and science should be of something which comes from me, which I hear from within me, which is Aditi within me, my inner soul, Aditi, and me a dialogue, and then confirming with other gods and goddesses and seeing in the light of divine mathematics, physics, chemistry, and medical sciences, trying to prove with my conviction has been the concept from the very beginning. Same thing you are going to see. I am not going to talk of the dialogue between Savitri and Dharmaraj Yama, but I'll take few incidences. Now let's start from that. Is this Savitri the reward of immortal soul? Is the Vardhan as such? Or is Savitri an inert matter soul as such? That's a question which I have in mind. Is she the soul which is talking to another soul, which is Yamraj, or it is something different? With that concept, I am starting this with a very mild change from others to let's think differently. Let's try to be as scientific as possible. Let's not go by mythology as such. Nature has given human being the mind consciousness of the nature which is unique. And with that, Vedas were written as Shruti, the universal sound brought to the world and given in the form of Sanskrit. Beautiful example. Similarly, this Ved Vyas is also someone very high level, and the kind of things he has done are phenomenal. So I respect Maharishi Ved Vyas as the someone who has written Mahabharata very high on the whole. Now let's start those descriptions one by one with this mild introduction. An honest statement. Savitri. The story of Satyavan and Savitri is well known to all the Indians, at least to the best of my ability. And the source is Mahabharata, as I told you, was written by Ved Vyas during last Yuga. And it was first movie, as I told you, Dada Sai Phalke was by Savitri, and his third movie on the whole. Longest English poetry, Shri Aurobindo, is also Savitri. Immortal Device has encouraged me on the whole to find how to reflect on things, have a honest dialogue even with the divine sources, and get the wisdom which is required, not copycat what is given in the books. I am not the one who took information given in the book and without reflecting on that, eliminating the defects and come out the encouraged thing, I would have succeeded in giving Divyang for the first time. The kind of reflection, analysis, and interpretation of the concept perfectly designed step by step towards perfection integrated is my approach. In that is this. Now, from that angle, let us find the occult wisdom of Savitri, not what everybody else is talking about. I am not standing in judgment of anyone, but that concept, there is hidden message. Let's understand that message step by step. Now, this is a picture of Savitri. Rishi Vedvyas or Maharishi Vedvyas is sitting there, and there is Lord Ganesha sitting there. This is some story which I would like to tell you. Vedvyas wanted to write about Mahabharata as such, and he wanted to write in Sanskrit a beautiful poetry, a fantastic work in every way is Mahabharata. For me to understand human psychology, I do not need any other book other than Mahabharata itself on human psychology. The worst and the best, every possible thing is included by Maharishi Vedvyas, who is the son of a Brahman, and then it is done with it. But to write that, he needed somebody else's help who could do an excellent work. And for that, it was Vedvyas who was chosen, because Vedvyas had chosen Ganesha for the concept, because he has very intelligent mind, very intuitive, is a divinity by itself, and all the good characters of understanding concept given to Lord Ganesha is taken for granted that he would justify and give in the world. Incidentally, whatever I am doing in the world is the work of Vedvyas and Ganesha within me. Here I can say information is a dialogue between me and my Antratma and the divinities, but concept is within my body itself. That I am doing everything single-handedly, not as Vedvyas and Ganesha as such. And let's not get into the detail whether they were two separate or within each other. Let's leave it at that. It's an old story, and many people will believe it, many people will not believe it. I'm not getting into that concept. But I do believe, like me, they also like Atma and Jivatma as such. And Shibhushan Chava is Jivatma, 100 trillion cells. My Antaratma is Aditi. And also divinities like Gayatri, Adi, Prashakti and others are within me. And all that within me I am able to do it, and I am sure same thing was there. Whosoever has given the picture of Vedvyas separately, Ganesh separately, which I do not find in the book. Maybe the interpretation given by somebody else at a later date could also be the truth of imagination of another people who want to believe that such a great work cannot be done by man alone. You need a divinity. Let's not get into that detail at all. Now, Satyavan, I'm just giving a little story. It is a story from Indian epic Mahabharata, which is the original concept. It appears in Vanaparva, the forest book of Mahabharata. There is a princess Savitri who is very intelligent, very devoted, and has become a divine prophecy telling that she is getting married to her husband Satyavan, and she was told that he is going to have an early death. In spite of the fact that Satyavan is going to have an early death, she agreed to get married to him. I will not get into reasons why she did it. But now let's say the word Satyavan. Satyavan means the person who's honest, truthful completely. For that matter, I do know one thing. The first concept which comes to my mind, my first step on spirituality is Satya, Satya and Satya alone. And whatever I am saying is based on what experienced by me is not copy of something. Same thing is expected of Satyavan, who is a living consciousness of truth. Satyameva Jayate, Om Tat Sat, Om Satya is Anand, Satya is everything, everything Satya alone. At the end of every mantra, Mahanarayani finally comes to Satya, only the religion that particular concept where everything impeccable wisdom would arise. So from that angle, Satyavan means a totally honest person who has all the virtues of great divinity within that. And that is again, I would say, is Antaratma of Satyavan is also Aditi, the perfect without any defect. Similarly, Savitri also is a perfect person because she represents Savitri. When I think of Savitri, I always think of Gayatri Mantra. And particularly Rigved said, Tat Savitur Varenyam. Tat means the divine nature, Savitur is the sun, Varenyam is light. That divine light of Surya is Savitri, is Gayatri, and that's it. So she is also Gayatri Mantra could be called Savitri Mantra or Gayatri Mantra. So Savitri from that angle is the greatest mantra in every way. But she also represents the soul of the universal consciousness. I think a soul having a husband, a soul is going to have a dialogue with another soul who is Dharmaraj. Dharmaraj means he is the righteous person, honest, truthful, and doing everything which is absolutely right. He is the one who is going to award or reward or punish people according to their karmas, not anything else. Dharma has to follow dharma. So this is a combination of a truthful man, whose soul, truthful wife, her soul, Aditi, and the soul, universal. Is that the three souls are identical or not identical is the question which comes to my mind. And that is what I am going to explore as we move on to go on. Let's not take something, but let's take things as uniform, a discussion between one soul, second soul, third soul, and the concept of universal consciousness, which again Nirankar Nirgun Brahman is omnipotent, omniscient, omnipresent, soul only, Antaratma only. That is the Shunya, that is the dot from which everything perfection comes. That is exactly what I've been talking about. From that angle, we have to see the uniformity, impeccable wisdom. That's it. Despite the prediction that she decides to get married to exiled Prince Satyavan, is again a prince, but residing in a forest area as such. So then she decides. They get married. After marriage, as predicted, Satyavan suffers a sudden death. Let's not get into details of that. He has to die. He dies after marriage, and then information goes as such in this particular picture. Now, this is the picture which is very clearly given. You can see Yamaraj on a buffalo as such. You can see Savitri bending. You can also see the soul behind. You can also see Satyavan in front lying dead on the earth. This is the picture which I put in the beginning and the picture here, and I like this concept very clearly. You are seeing Savitri bending to Yamaraj and Satyavan is lying and then asking the question. I think this is where very precise artistic approach of concept on the whole. Hats off to the artist who has done it, brought the beauty very clearly. Now this is a picture of Dharmaraj Yama or Pavarasan. Incidentally, now come to the question which I want everybody to realize. Dharmaraj Yama is the son of Aditya, the sun god. So when the question of son of Aditya, sun god, Dharmaraj Yama comes up, he is shown the person. So what is very important here? That means sun is very important. And when I think of sun, I always think of hydrogen as such. So when I come to think what could be Dharmaraj, I always think of Aditi, because son of Aditya has to be helium only. There is a dialogue in Veds which says Daksha the king, again son. His mother and daughter are Aditi. I have explained that. In Upanishad it said Aditi is the mother and daughter of Aditya. I have had to explain. Again it is in hydrogen and helium. But here comes the question of a sun. Sun was not mentioned there, but sun is mentioned in Rigved itself. And it is Dharmaraj is young who takes the thing. So that means whether third concept which comes to play. He is the son of Aditya, whether it's a son or a daughter. It has to have an identical thing is something which is very clear to me. If the daughter and mother is Aditi, is a helium-4, the son also has to be helium-4 only. And that is where I feel Dharmaraj is also helium-4, the Antaratma. So is Savitri, so is everything. I think from that angle we have come to a conclusion that Dharmaraj also represents Aditi, the helium-4 only. Now come to the question. After the deaths, Savitri went after Lord Yama or Dharmaraj as such in the space. That's a dialogue which you have seen in the picture. She was a pious, devoted consort of Satyavan is one part, but I would go to the extent she is a girl who is perfectly honest in every way. As I have gone again and again, if you want to be a perfect by and large, you got to flow with your inner consciousness, which is Aditi. Similarly, I have mentioned in earlier videos, Rishi Kashyap, which is one of the 7 rishis, has 13 wives, and out of 13 wives, one is called Aditi, another is called Didi. The one which Aditi, her children are godly people, fantastic, truthful, like Satyavan, Savitri, and others. Where the people who do not go with Savitri, do not go with Satya, are the one who do all the things damaging to the self. So Diti and Aditya within every human being, the perfect human beings becomes like gods, and bad who do not truthfully, honestly follow, do not have the divinity within themselves. Let me not call them asuras. Perfect and imperfect, let's leave it at that. Let me not get into godly and Rakshasa, asuras as such. Let's bring it to very simple, accepted, without any connotation or thing. One is a perfect, another is not perfect, imperfect. Leave it at that. Now, when Savitri goes after as a perfect being, as a soul, she can go to the universe only and soul, not with the physical body. That's something which I have worked to put it together. She, soul is going, that means Aditi's soul is going. She as the one who can be in tune with soul of Dharmaraj Yama, which is again Aditi, helium-4, and she goes and has a dialogue. And what is the dialogue between these two souls? I'm not getting into details of that because it is beyond me to copy somebody, because different people have different ways of explaining things in their way and they make into mythology, and I'm not interested in mythology or not into the concept. I am only into the concept. There's a dialogue between two truthful Adhitis, helium-4, and that dialogue leads you to perfection. That based on the dialogue between two helium, third helium is allowed to go and have birth again. Leads that. That is the boon which is required. So after the dialogue between Savitri and Dharmaraj, Dharmaraj is very happy. You have fantastic way of analyzing, and this is what I've been trying to tell everybody. Human beings with a limited mind can have problem. Even that Ashtanga Yoga Patanjali talks of 8 yoga, only control the mind. Only after that your self is known, which is the ninth state of chakras, and then 10th antarayam, then you become a perfect one. That is Advait by and large. So, unless until this Atma rises and you get the boon to reach that level, only then you could tread the spiritual science path, otherwise you cannot. Perfection only comes when you are in tune with your inner soul or divine souls or with the universal consciousness. The one who is in tune with universal consciousness, the one who is going to be perfect in every way. And as I've said, ionosphere by and large of Schumann resonance field has got 7.83 Hertz frequency. Similarly, I can produce 8 Hertz frequency throughout the brain in all the 64 Hertz. So in other words, me and my Atma are the one who has produced the result for the first time in history of mankind. Let's put it that way. And I have not found that in anybody else. I have challenged everything based on that particular concept, and that was part of my PhD work. Now from that is a result of Aditi or helium 4, which is my soul consciousness or my kundalini, which gave me the perception through samadhi state on the head, produce electrical energy of 8 hertz throughout the brain with eyes open, eye senses completely. For the first time in history of the mankind, over a period, fantastic. Now, when that level is between two, Lord Yama or Dharmaraj is convinced that you are a fantastic person, you deserve a boon, a vardhan from me. You have asked me what is the vardhan you want. Now comes a question of very important. She says, I want children. She is very clear. You are giving me vardhan, you give me children. So he says, Athastu, let you have a children. That is given by another divine soul to a divine person. You have children. That's comes a trick. You, Lord Yama, you're telling me to have children and you want me to have a children, but how can I have a children without Satyavan? He is my husband, and husband only has to give me the children. I cannot get through any other concept. And I think that was a very, very intelligent question raised by one soul to the world of consciousness of higher soul, that even man has the capacity to ask for question. This will define how the person is going to rise and rise higher and higher. For that matter, these 70 odd years of my life, it is my questioning to the Atma. I have got all the answers which I am giving it, and I am making it very clear. Shibhushan Sharma is telling you the answers only because I am only questioning. Answers are given by my Aditi, my Kundalini, my Antaratma within me, who is in tune with the universal consciousness. And if she was asking for only children, nothing other than that, that's a message of Savitri. To show the husband and wife should be consorts, truthful, honest together, only then they make a heaven on the earth by and large. But as far as Shibhushan Sharma is concerned, that is me. I do know when I did my work altogether, say my Antaratma asked me, what boon do I want? And when I was asked that question, what boon do I want? What vardhan do I want? I did not ask anything on the earth. I did not ask for name. I did not ask for money. I did not ask for fame. I did not ask for family. I did not ask for children. I did not ask for anything other than that. I have only one thing, and that was Akhandata. I want Akhandata. And when I said I want Akhandata, it means I'm looking for integrated consciousness, the entire universe within me. I'm not asking for anything which is sectarian. I'm asking perfection of the level which cannot be questioned underway. Boon of Savitri is for children, agreed. She is looking for family, agreed. That's her thought, and let's accept that. But as for Shibhushan concerned, he wants the knowledge of all the brilliant. And no wonder, with that Vardhan asked for divinity, Kundalini, voice of silence within me, has brought me to Divyang slowly step. Nothing happens in one day. It's a journey over a period. And I came to the Vardhan of Akhandata, and it culminated into Devyak for the first time in history of mankind in 2015. And that is the result of dialogue between me and my Antaratma, my Kundalini, my Aditi, my helium 4, and also the concept understanding Gayatri on the whole, and of course Adi Prashakti, Durga, all the put together. Write entire Ved Vyas, concept of Rig Ved, or Mahabharat, or A to Z of the universal consciousness, as happened from the beginning till date, was asked by me, and in the light of modern sciences, with the divine mathematics, I have moved on. And that is what you will see in the next video, how I went step by step. Now, this is that. Now the question is, I cannot have children without Satyavan. So as a result, Yama released the soul of Satyavan for Savitri to move ahead, to go ahead, to have a beautiful family of Satyavan, Savitri and children, and live a beautiful heavenly life on the earth. And that was a message by Ved Vyas in forest to produce at that stage, that a woman can be very intelligent, can get the boons from divinity, but you don't have. All you need to be a truthful, honest person. You got to be divine, and all of us are divine because the Antaratma is within all of us. And let's leave it at that. Now the come to question of this is, I'm just showing a glimpse of the third movie of Indian movie in 1943, Satyavan Savitri. Dada Saheb Phalke is called the father of Indian movies, and I think let's leave it at that and be happy with it. Now this is another movie of the same thing where Shashikala and Aruna Irani, and another thing is done. I think the same concept you can see here. I think that was another beautiful. I have seen Satyavan Savitri movies from childhood, and many, and every movie by and large made me think differently, think better, and improvise in the concept of to be divine being by and large. No wonder I have always said my first strength is Satya, second strength is Ahimsa, third thing perfection, to look for perfection, nothing other than that. I think that has brought me to Divyan. And I think all of us, whether males or females, the day we decide to look for perfection, not copycat like what I say in education otherwise, we will reach Divyank by and large. Leave it at. Now this is again a picture of the same concept which I have seen in the beginning, a different people putting it different way, and I think let's accept this is a beautiful dialogue to reflect on how we can have a dialogue on soul consciousness. Now this is a picture of Sri Aurobindo, who has written the book in 1950 and published in 1951 as such. Unfortunately, this was published after his death, not before his death. He died on 5th October 1950 and book was published in 51. But is the last part of his, I think, is a beautiful journey, and I do agree again. Last 25 years of Sri Aurobindo were a recluse life, living alone and working on different countries, including Savitri as a saint. It's a legend, it's a symbol of the truth of the highest order. I think that is again a picture which I feel needs to be given due respect in the modern science to convert into longest English poetry is to be given to Sri Aurobindo. Now this is a picture again to say Sri Aurobindo is the only person, to the best of my knowledge, has spoken about descent of Mahashakti. He said, unless until Mahashakti comes into you, only then you become a perfect being. This is something which he has experienced. And he has also gone on record to say, he experienced it, that is transformed him. Now the question is, he, after having Shakti come to him, he became a spiritual being in Alipur, and then things totally on a different. That's a time from a lawyer, politician who wanted to for Akhand Bharat, finally becomes a spiritual scientist, settles down in Pondicherry and does the spiritual science because his guide becomes his Antaratma, and that is exactly what he is trying to show in the form of Savitri. because after descent of Mahashakti within himself, he only then experienced Savitri within and then written that particular book over a period along with integral yoga and other things. Integral yoga, as I've told you in the beginning, is also a reflection of perfect definition of health, even world organization. Perfect physical health, emotional health, mental health, spiritual health, religious health. That is again a perfection to the core. And that also goes to integral yoga. And I derive my inspiration to great an extent. Same thing which I call Akhand Yoga, much more classified, much more specific, which he himself was not aware of it. Maybe my scientific background has helped me to understand divine mathematics, physics, chemistry, medical sciences better than his being a non-medical, non-scientific approach. He is a lawyer into arts and philosophies, not into spirituality, not a mathematician, not a physics, not chemistry, not medical sciences, the way I am trained. That's the basic difference between the two. I think I have been born with the perfection because I have the scientific approach, whereas he was not a scientific as such. So I think his approach comes only when he has an experience of descent of Mahashakti, and this is a picture of divine Shakti which speaks volumes about if he could change, and I think we can also change. But here again you see same Durga's picture only. He was a Bengali. Now a question which I am trying to explain here very clearly is, Sri Aurobindo also said union of soul and nature. Look at the inside. The jiva is then the meeting place of the play of oneness of supreme soul and nature. That means Purusha and Prakriti both are known within the physical body. You can see the sun, you can see the light are falling into that. That means I, Shibhushan Sharma, or Aurobindo, or for that matter every human being made 100 trillion cells is like Prakriti. And Prakriti is Jivatma as such. And then we have a soul within ourselves, Aditi. So we become Advait philosophy and also Dvait. But when these two are together, we can be in tune with universal consciousness is my concept of Trit Pravidya. I think now we are moving on very close how we can experience the divinity with ourselves unless under 100 trillions of cells are perfectly truthful, honest and perfect in self and in tune with that, only then we can be in tune with you. Now you see perfection at every level. Satyavan, Shibhushan Sharma, with Aditi, with the God, that is where I say Satya, Satya, Satya is important. Ahimsa, Ahimsa is there. You should not do even single thing against anyone on the whole. Leave it to nature, because anybody who does bad would beat it. But should not encourage deficiency at all. Have the courage to stand by dharma, and that is the dharma is Savitri also, and that's why now Dharmaraj is dharma. So when dharma is there, earth is there, arthik niti is there, everything is done according to dharma, you get moksha. Then again something which I am trying to see other statements also. So Dharmaraj also means dharma, then arthik niti means dharma, and also karma according to dharma will also give us freedom from immortality. I think these are the some things which have made me understand how beautiful the story is, how much deep occult wisdom is there. And once you understand the occult wisdom, only then you can move on to the higher levels of consciousness step by step. I think this particular concept of Savitri, descent of Shakti, Sri Aurobindo's life from a lawyer in UK to a politician for Akhand Bharat to move out, to get descent and move to Puducherry or Pondicherry and move on to the higher levels of universal consciousness and write Savitri in a most beautiful way along with integral. I think that is a transformation in him stage by stage. But in me, I was born with that at a much higher level from the very beginning. So I didn't have to go through the stages of unfolding. Things started happening within the space of 60 odd years. I could give Divyang as such because I didn't have to change from art to science. As mathematician, do I think that's again message which I'm giving it very clearly. Now come to the question of Savitri. Occult science, my perception. Gayatri mantra of Rig Veda is one. We start with Tat Savitur Varenyam. Vargo Devasya Dhimhi Dhyo Yonha Prachodhyat. But here it starts with Tat, and Tat Tvam Asi is again something that divine nature is perfect. I think that divine nature is Savitur, which is sun, Varenyam is light, and that is Savitri. No wonder Gayatri mantra is also called Savitri mantra. I think that makes very clear. So Savitri is the divine Shakti of Savitur Aditya itself. And that is again come to the question, if it is that, it has to be Aditi only, and it has to be helium-4 only. I think now things are coming close. She is the daughter of Aditya, the sun god. She represents inner consciousness. I have already explained about it, Vedic as well as this. But same thing I also say, the son of Surya, which is Dharmaraj Yama, is also Aditi only, also helium-4, also the inert matter. I think now it's coming very close. This is occult wisdom by and large. We should try to come to the stage where no more questions are raised. Eliminate by neti, 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 and come. And I think that 60 years took me to Divyang, and I think I'm sharing. Now people can start thinking like that and see the change. That world will have a perfect knowledge for everyone. There will not be any problem which our world is facing today, because even scientists are talking of something to find fault, but not come to the level of truth which I want everybody. Now comes the Lord Dharmaraj. He is the son of Lord Siddhartha, the sun. He represents inner conscious force. Hence Dharmaraj and Savitri are helium-4. No wonder they can communicate openly and freely. That's the dialogue. Only truthful, honest souls can talk to each other. And I am saying from my childhood, nobody can tell me untruth, come what may be. Not even one person can do even one thing against. They cannot hijack anything from me. They cannot take a credit for anything. Everybody has to do. And my life is a beautiful example. I am a soul, perfect one. Any imperfect one will disappear from me step by step, because they cannot stand up to the truth. They feel burnt. Their own soul will start burning them, and then their best way is they can't argue, so they move out. But perfect soul like Dharmaraj, Savitri, Satyavan, we all can communicate because we have uniformity in everything, and that is impeccable wisdom, Michael. That is exactly, I said, we can comprehend each other with concurrence because we speak the same language of truth, same language of perfection, some impeccable wisdom. That is beauty. A conscientious dialogue with Lord Dharmaraj and Savitri was expected to produce the essential results of another truth by itself. So now you understand. It's a beautiful example of moving towards truth step by step to the level that it will prove the world that truth is the one which is ultimate. And this was a beautiful example. I wonder whether anybody had looked at Savitri the way I have looked at Savitri. And I am enjoying it because I do believe we are all Savitris, we are all Satyavans, we are Savitur, we have all the, because the divinity is within every human being. And that is exactly the message which I have been giving. Now comes the question of experience and perception. Human soul is Aditi, the inert matter I have said, and this is the picture which I have given in Akhand Sutra, and very clearly is the perception. Now, how Aditi is produced in the sun, or helium-4 is produced from 4 atoms of hydrogen mixed together to form helium. So, hydrogen is Aditya, the sun. Then daughter is helium. Same helium fusion and fission give you this. This is a combination of the modern science as well as spirituality put together, and I think that is phenomenal. And this is what Yamaraj is. This is what soul is. That is Antaratma, love and see. How it reaches in a human being. This is again a statement which I am making from my concept very clearly, based on Divyang. 22 weeks of pregnancy, first 2 trimesters are over, the fetus is ready to get the divine soul within, and divine soul can enter into the head of the growing fetus at 22 weeks from the head, And that is what I3 Upanishad is talking about. Now I am trying to show from other things, bringing the wisdom which was not connected. How beautiful are Vedas, how beautiful Upanishads, how beautiful are scriptures, what is the science in that in a very symbolic form. It was not mythology, and that is what it is. I think having given this particular thing, I am glad that Atma can enter into growing fetus after 22 weeks. By that time, fetus is ready to receive and transmute into something better for thereafter. I think that is the reality. Now, my essence is very clear. I am not discussing the details I told you. Once again, I am saying why? There are different interpretations like in mythology. Let's leave it at that. I am a truthful, honest spiritual scientist. I am giving my views from my soul Aditi, which is perfect in everybody. All the indwelling souls can communicate. I can communicate to anything on the entire universe. And I think that has been the result of this work by and large. And I'm telling you, everyone who is with the Aditi, with the soul, Antaratma, Shunya, can communicate with the entire universe. All you need to do is become a perfect human being. No wonder Patanjali itself talks about Satya or Ahimsa as the first virtues are most important. And I leave these two as such. As a result, we can be perfectly integrated, enlightened souls and know A to Z by itself. We don't have to copycat and become a perfect, and that's it. And with that, I have come to this particular stage and showing very clearly. This is the reflection Savitri itself. You can see the sun background with the three things. That is Savitur, that is Savitri. This is what whole thing of my body and everybody's body and the universal consciousness. I think let's leave it at that. The carry home message is very, very simple. If you want to be a perfect human being, you got to be truthful, honest, non-violent, perfect being from every anything. We should not do even a single thing which can damage others. The people who are doing things, they will pay price for it. They can never survive. If you are going after money, name, fame, other things, more than what your need is, you are asking for problem. Money is required, but it has its own limit. Similarly, name, fame is required. It is also limit. Anything beyond a particular thing becomes a liability. And unfortunately, people are enjoying being very rich, very popular, very thing, but they are not even thinking once other than for their own evolution. And I think that when you start thinking of your evolution perfectly otherwise, only then you reach Divyank level. Once you reach Divyank, then you start earning money. And another two Vardhan with which I was born with, Akshay Patra. I never had to borrow, beg and steal from anybody, because when you are a good Karam Yogi, you automatically get paid. Saraswati is important. Lakshmi will automatically come. That's it. And you don't have to worry about anything, because they are the rewards of perfection anyway. I never expected the kind of thing, but I've got it because I'm just trying to be a perfect within the limit is required. Anything which is not required is not at all my concern. I'm not here on the earth to make names, fame in material thing which is perishable, and that is what I've been telling since my childhood. I'm not interested in perishable things. I've never demanded even thing from parents. I never even took what they wanted to give it to me, or anybody for that matter. We are like a soul on the earth for evolution. Let us be like that. Let's do our work as such and move on. It's a knowledge of empirical wisdom which is important. I think that is it. I think with that, I end this. Thank you very much.